Hello guys, welcome to Good to Micro Projects. Now, in this application, when I type anything here, it gives me the number of words and characters in the passage. So for instance, when I say welcome to my channel and I say count, it tells me you type 4 words and 21 characters in this passage. Great. Now in this video, we're going to learn to develop this using React, hooks, and Redux. If you want to type along with me, kindly install the following. Now 1 npm install Redux, 2 npm install React Redux, and 3 npm install Redux DevTools extension. Now with all said and done, let's begin. Thank you very much. Let's begin by creating 3 folders in our SRC folder. So the first one we say assets. Second one, inside the same folder we say components. Components. Then the third one we say Redux. Good. Now let's take the first one, assets. Now in this application we don't have any images or spinners, so leave it blank. Go to the next one, components. Let's create a word component. We say new folder and call it word component. Good, word component. So inside the word component, we create a file and call it word.js. Good. Now inside the word.js, let's call our boilerplate. So boilerplate is ready. Now instead of ordinary div, why don't we make it React to fragment? Then inside that we can say h2 tag and say hello. Okay, and we link that to the app.js to view on the screen. So we say word. Good, that's been imported for us already. So let's check our screen. Great, we have hello on the screen. So it means we need to get started. So you can close the app.js. Now to start with, we ask, so what is the structure of this application? Now let's look at the structure. We're going to build a header, then we build a body, then we build a footer. Yeah, something like this. And inside the body, we give it a text area and a button, something like this. Now with our page setup, which is something like this, we're going to give it divided into 3 equal parts. So we have 4, 4, 4. Since Bootstrap has 12 columns in the row, so 4 columns, 4 columns, 4 columns. So we're going to work in the middle region. So that is that with the page setup. So let's get started. So we start with, let's create a div and call it row. Div and class name, and call it row. Good. Now inside the row, let's create another div and give it a class name and call it call md4. Good. So we copy that. Good. Now we're going to work and the second one, which is the middle one. So we say, let's give it a card. So we say div, say class name equals card. So inside the card, we need the body, the header, and the footer. So we say div class name equals card header. So we copy that to two more. So we say it's gonna be card body. In this place, it's gonna be the footer. So that is that with the card. So next is take them one after the other. So let's take the first one, the card header. Now inside the header, what do we need? We need an h3 tag to call it word and chara app. Okay, good. That is that for the header. Now let's go to the body. Now the body, what do we need? Body. Let me make it. Call it body. Good. Inside the body, what do we need? We need a form. Okay, let's say a form. We need a form. Now inside the form, what do we need? We need two form groups. So we say div class name equals form group. We need two, one for test area and one for the button. Just copy it. Good. So let's take the first one. So this is going to be the button, and this is going to be the test area. Test area. Good. So test area, what do we need? Let's call the test area. Test area. Good. Now inside the test area, what do we need? Let's give it a row 3. Then let's give it a placeholder. We'll call it write something here. Okay. Then next we give it a class name called form control. Good. So that is that for the test area. Now let's go to the button. And we say button type equals submit. Good. And let's give it a class name. Class name equals, and we rearrange it. Good. So class name, we have btn as good, btn small, and call it count. Good. Now I check the screen to see how it's doing. Great. Now what we need to do is to add some margin tab and make everything bold. So let's go to a margin, the row, say empty, empty 5. Let's make everything bold. So we say class name font weight bold. Good. And from there, the card, let's go to the card and center everything. So we say test center. Good. Now from there, the body, we need the font to bold. So we say font to weight bold. Good. Then the button too, we need some boldness. Font weight bold. Good. So that is that. Let's check it out to see how it's doing. Great. This is exactly what we need. Now what we do need to do is to add some colors. Okay. So let's go to our CSS. Good. So let's add some color. We say dot card header. Header, we need a background color. Background color of 961 D2E. Good. And a color, this color of white smoke. Good. Now likewise, let's give the card body to the body background color of 504 C4C. Good. And the color of white smoke. Good. So that is that. Now let's check it out to see how things are doing. Great. This is exactly what we want. Now I want the button to have the same color as the header. So let's go to the header and give it comma and say btn dot btn. Good. Let's check it out. Great. This is what we need. So the next thing to do is to bind the text area and the button. So to do that, let's give it a state. So over here, we say comma useState. useState. Good. Import useState too. Then we can now say that bind input. So now we can say let word comma set word equal to useState into bracket, create an object and say counter equals the value empty. Good. So next we give a name to the test area. So our test area, we give it a name and call it name equals counter. Then a value equals word dot counter. Then we give it an unchanged equals handle change. So next we need to write a function for handle change. So we copy it. Then we go up there and say let handle change be equal to a function good when the event is being called to give us the set word into bracket, give us the word back, comma, then give us the event dot target dot name with the value with a value event dot target dot value. So that is that for the binding. So now let's check the test area if it's binded. Now to do that, let's give it a pre-tag and call JSON. So we say JSON dot stringify into bracket word. Good. Now let's go to our screen. So our counter, anything I type here should appear in the counter. So if I say hello, you have hello in the counter. So it means our test area is binded. Now next to bind is the button. So to do that, we go to our form and give it an onSubmit. So over here we say onSubmit equals to handle submit. So we copy that, we create a function for it. So we say handle submit. So over here we select handle submit equal to a function when the event is being called, should give us event dot prevent default to avoid refreshing. Okay, so that is that. To test it out, we can say alert word. So let's go check it out. Good. Now when I write hello and I say count, it alerts the word. So the button is also working. So what's the next thing to do now is to get ready for Redux. So to do that, let's take the pre-tag out and start with Redux. So we comment our pre-tag, we don't need it. Good. So now let's get ready for our Redux. So in our Redux folder, we create a file and call it store.js. Good. Now inside the same Redux folder, let's create another file and call it root reducer.js. Now inside the same Redux folder, let's create another folder and call it word Redux. Now inside the word Redux file, let's create inside word Redux folder, let's create a file and call it word.actiontypes. Actiontypes.js. Good. Now inside the same word Redux folder, let's create another file and call it word.actions.js. Now inside the same word Redux, let's create another file and call it word.reducer.js. So that is that. Now let's take action types. Now this will talk about the actions we're going to start with. When you look here, Okay, when we look here, we need to send this to store. So the actions is to what? Send word to store. Okay, so let's look at it. So let's export const. So send word to store equals the same thing which we just copy. Just paste it. Sorry, send word to store. Good. And next one is to fetch export const. Good. Fetch word count. So we say fetch. Let's copy it. Okay. Fetch word count. Good. That is that. That's that with the action types. Send to store, then fetch the word count. We need these types of actions. Now let's look at the actions itself. Now before we start, we need to import the action types. So we say import send word to store, comma, and fetch word count from where? From action types. Good. So next, create a function for each. We select send word to store equal to a function that will return type send word to store, so comma, and the payload a payload word. Then over here so we say word because we're sending it to store. Good. So next we create the same thing for the fetch word count. So we can just copy it and we say let word say fetch word count equal to word and return as fetch word count. Good. The same thing. So now we can now export them. Then we say export send word to store, comma, then fetch word count. So that is that. So next is to go to our word reducer. Now before we go, let's copy the import along. Good. So word reducer, paste it. Good. Now next is to create a feature key in the store. We say export const word key equals, let's give it a name, word store. So inside the store it will have a name, word store. So that is that. Next is to create an initial state. So let initial state equal to, say, counter with the value empty comma, let me say char count, char counter to value empty, and next one word counter to value empty. Good. That's an initial state. So next we say let word reducer equal to a function where state is equal to initial state, actions. Great. As we all know, the action contains the type, payload. So we can destructure this and say actions. So now for our switch statement, the type is being called the case where we send what to store is being called. We can return what? Return give us the state back, and give us the payload back. Good. So that is that. How about a case when the fetch word count is being called? What do we do? Now return state, payload, and give us our char counter to value state dot counter dot length, now how about the word counter? The word counter is give us the state dot counter dot match what? We need to match some expressions. Good. So what are we matching? Now I read an article in cssstricks.com by Vikas Lalwani, who talked about building a word counter, and he says that if you want to build a word count, you need to match it with this expression. And he said that the /b matches the word boundaries, the /w plus matches the word characters, and the minus question mark will match the hyphens, and the plus at the end of the pattern or more occurrence of the whole pattern. Then finally, I makes it case sensitive and G makes it global search instead of stopping at first. Okay, so that is the expression he in his article. So we're going to copy the expression and we're going to also use the same expression. So we go there and copy and we say we're going to match the same thing. Okay, and we'll do that again. Good. So we're going to match it. Then we match it dot length. Very good. So we have our dot length. So next is our default case. So we say default case return state. Okay. So that is that. We can export our word reducer. So we say export word reducer. So that is that for the word reducer. Now export the word reducer to where? To the root reducer. So we go to root reducer and export it. So we say import word reducer from where? From word Redux, then word reducer. Good. That is that. So next, to import combine reducers from Redux. Now we can now say that let root reducer be equal to combine reducers into bracket. We say call the key. So we say word key with the value word reducer. Good, word reducer. Now let's import the word key from the word reducer. So good, it has been imported for us already. So that is that we can export our word root reducer. So we say export root reducer. Could export root reducer to where? To the store. So we say import root reducer from where? From root reducer. Good. So that is that. We also need to import create store from Redux. Then we import another one called compose with DevTools from Redux DevTools extension. So finally, we can now say let store equal to create store into bracket root reducer, comma, compose with dev2 function. So that is that. We can now export our store. Export store. Now we are exporting store to where? To the app.js. So we go to the app.js, then import our store. So we say import store from where? From root reducer. From where? From Redux, then store. Good. So that is that. We also need to import another called provider. Provider from React Redux. Good. So that is that. Now next is to do is to wrap the provider around the component. So we say, I can just say that provider will be given the value store equals store. Good. So inside the provider, wrap the component around the provider nicely. Okay. So good. So that is that with the Redux setup. So now let's check the screen to see if there's any complaint. So we do that. Great. No complaint. So let's check our store. Open my store. Good. I can see our state is ready. So we have the counter empty, the char counter empty, and the word counter also empty. So what we need to do is to link the store to the component so that we can dispatch. Anything we write here, we can dispatch it to the store. So to do that, we need to go to our word component. So I close all this. The store, the root reducer, close it. The action types, we close it. Okay, we can leave this one. Okay, now we go to our word component and import use select and use dispatch. So we'll say import use selector. Good. And use dispatch. EEATCH from React Redux. So now let's call our use dispatch. So we say let's dispatch equal to use dispatch. Good. So instead of alerting, we can now dispatch it. So alert, we can say dispatch what? Go to our actions and we say send word to store. So let dispatch send word to store. So we say dispatch bracket send word to store. Inside there we say word. Good. So we should go check it out. So we go to our browser again. Then we say hello. And this say count. Now let's check our store if we have hello. Great. We have hello in the store. Meaning our dispatch is working. Now we have hello in the store. We need to get our char counter and the word counter. So to do that, I need to dispatch the second action. So let's go back. Our second action is what? Fetch word count. So let's go and dispatch fetch word count. So next we say dispatch fetch word count to bracket word. Let's see that too. Good. Let's check it out. Type something here. How are you? Great. Now let's check our store. Good. How are you in the store? And the char count is what? 11 and the word count is 3. That is true. So next is to view our store so that we can bring the char count to the footer. So to do that, let's go to our word component, and say view store. Over here, now we say view store. So how do we view store? We say let's view word equal to use selector function. Okay, that also gives us another function where we say state to return state and feature key. So we say word key. Now let's go import word key from word reducer. So word key has been imported for us already. So let's check it out. So to check that out, we can use our per tag, and instead of word, we can say view word. So we say Oh, not this one. View word. Let's check it out. Great. So we'll say I am fine. Good. Let's check it out. Good. I am fine in the store, and the child count is what, 9, and the word count is 3. So now let's link that to the footer. So in the footer, what we need to do is to just go there and say, good. So footer, give it an h4 tag, h4 tag. Then we say you typed, let's say 2, so you typed 2 words and 3 characters in the passage. Good. So that is that. Now let's create a span tag to handle the 2 and 3. So we say span, span 2. Okay. Then over here too, we can say span 3. So that is that. Let's check it out on the screen. Good. Now we can make it nicer by making it bold. So we say over here h4 tag, we say class name, font weight, bold. Now let's check it out again. Good. Great. Now next to do is to make our 2 and 3 dynamic. Okay. So by dynamic we call it the char counter and the word counter. So let's do that. So we say over here we can say view word dot word counter. Then over here we can also say view word dot char counter. So that is that. Let's check it out. Good. Oh, sorry. Let's run it. Good. Let's say I am happy. Let's check it out. Good. We type 3 words and 10 characters. Now let's make this, add some colors to the span. So we need the same color like the header. So we go to our CSS and say span. So give me a color. Let's copy this. Good. Let's check it out. So if I type I am happy, you say you type 3 words and 10 characters in this passage. Now we need to make the, how do you call it, the footer also dynamic, so that it only appears after you have clicked the count. So using an if statement. So let's go check it out. To do that, go to our word again, then the footer, we copy the footer out, cut it rather, then we give it an if statement. So we say Just call the if and say if view word dot word counter dot length equals 0, then display now. Otherwise, display the footer. Okay, so that is that to handle the if statement. Okay, so now let's check it out. Okay, so we don't have anything. If I say we are new, I say count, our footer appears. So that is that. Next, let's take the pre tag off. We don't need it. Just the word, the pre tag. You can just comment it. Then we can now say, please don't forget to do good. If I say count, you type 6 words and 29 characters in this passage. So that is that, guys. Don't forget to do good. Catch you in the next video. We say goodbye.